So what we see here is that the Antichrist will step in. The Antichrist will make a treaty, a peace treaty of some sort with Israel, but we also see that the Antichrist will break this treaty. This is probably one of the most significant world events that will ever happen. Because it says there in verse 27, but in the middle of the week, that's talking about in the middle of the 7 years, he will cause the sacrifice and the offering to cease. So in the middle of the week, at 3.5 years, it's saying that he will forbid Israel to offer sacrifices and offerings unto God. This tells us something here. It confirms again that the temple will be rebuilt. Okay? We talked about it last time, that the temple will be rebuilt. And listen, there is talk about that in Israel right now. They are wanting to rebuild the temple. It hasn't happened yet. So we will see the temple being rebuilt, which, like I said last time, if all of a sudden you hear on your Twitter feed or on your Instagram feed or on your Facebook feed or on your YouTube feed or you're reading the Edmonton Journal or the Globe and Mail or something, they have put shovels into ground to rebuild the temple. Be very aware of what's going on. It could be built while we are still here. You don't build something like that. You don't build a structure like that overnight. So the temple will be rebuilt. It also tells us that Jewish people will use it, and there will be offerings and sacrifices to God for a period of time. We know that because the Antichrist is going to step in and say no more. The Antichrist will turn hostile towards Israel, and he will break his covenant at the midway point, 3.5 years. And by the way, I believe that if we were here, we could literally probably set the dates on our clocks and say, this is when that covenant's going to be broken. I think it's that precise. And it says what happens next. On the wing of abomination shall come one who makes desolate, until the decreed destruction is poured out upon the desolator. We look back, and this is why we started in Matthew 24, verse 21. It talks about the abomination of desolation. And we talked about how the ultimate abomination is an idol or sacrifices of an idol worship in the temple. You say, what is the most likely idol that will be set up? If we look at Scripture, if we look at the desire of the devil represented and living through the Antichrist, if we look at things in Scripture such as the idol that was set up, that the 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, did not worship, what we are, I'm just going to say, I am absolutely convinced the idol that will be set up is that the Antichrist will set up a sacrilegious statue or image of himself in the temple in Jerusalem, which he will be called the world to sacrifice to and to worship. Reason I say that is because if you go into Revelation 13, verse 15, it talks about this a little bit. It says there, this isn't the Antichrist, but this is the false prophet, he was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many who would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. So, I believe that there's coming a time when the Antichrist is going to set up an idol in the Jerusalem temple that is going to be an image of himself. The false prophet is going to somehow bring life to this idol. Some people believe it'll be supernaturally. Some believe it'll be technologically. However it's going to happen, this idol will be brought to life in a sense. And this idol will be worshiped. This idol will be sacrificed to. And this is the abomination of desolation that is talked about in Matthew chapter 24. These things have not happened yet. It also may be, if you were to read Revelation chapter 13. You can read it one of two ways. You can read it as simply a list of the things that the beast and the false prophet will accomplish. But in my mind, as I read through it, it seems to be written in a chronological order of events. And so it seems in my mind, when I read that, after verse 15, when that beast sets, or when the idol is set up, that it's at this point that the mark of the beast will come. Because immediately following verse 15 and verses 16 and 17, it says, he causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, so that none may buy or sell except he who has the mark or the beast or the name or the number of his name.